So, Level 15, finally got my hands on one of these. Took absolute age. They probably won't be back in stock in the places that are currently have them until I think it's March next year is what is predicted. But had this single day and the short stroke kits are already done. There's tons of these. I think I've seen about 5 different people, at least 5, design these. And the reason is because they're really so simple. So to get to installing this yourself, I've just taken the upper off, which is the single pin at the front there. You just push that out. Upper comes off that way. After that, it's just a case of pushing out that lever pin there, pulling it out there. So the key to getting this lever out cleanly is to slightly push the bolt back so that that's mostly vertical. And then if you're ever struggling to pull it out, push this back, the entire nozzle, push that back. That'll make it so much easier to remove, I say, as it comes out. There we go. Right. So how these short stroke kits work is the stroke is set with this post here. This is what pushes the tappet plate. As you rotate it, that's what pushes this backwards and forwards. So essentially what these short stroke kits does is instead of having to have the full travel, you only actually need to cycle it about that far, and then it comes back in. I'll show you that at the end. So really easy. My pack comes with 2 of these, 2 of the actual short stroke kits itself, and then there's a piece that sits on the other side which prevents over travel. So in this, as I mentioned, the tappet plate, it's a black plastic piece that runs all the way along here, and it's pushed backwards and forwards by that post. If you don't have this piece in here, what you're basically doing is when you reach the full travel of the short stroke, you're basically just slamming into this plastic piece, and eventually it will just snap. So that second piece is important for that reason. So to install these, it's really simple. So this is not just for the BBA set. This will work. I think I've seen a file online already on Cults. This will work for literally any of these kits as long as they're in 2 pieces. And it's literally a case of just pushing it in like that. I'm just going to tap it in with a hammer. Make sure it's flush. Yep, that's fine. That's one side in. So these are going in sort of quite easily because I have done this before with this set. They might be a bit tight initially, so it's good just get like a small rubber hammer or plastic hammer and just tap. Just make sure it's completely in there. So what should be flush is this surface should be flush with the sort of rest of the lever itself. Same on this side. Might be slightly risen a bit, but just get it in as much as possible. So to reinstall them, it's the same forwards as it was backwards. So the important thing to get is, almost do it for my own advice there, make sure that's pushed back. And then with it there, so what is worth noting is on these kits, the piece that protrudes up this way is gonna slightly ride along this channel here. So you can see there's some marks there. So obviously I've been prototyping this, so mine is gonna look way more marked than most of the people's kits are. It is going to ride on that, so just make sure when you're inserting it, you're getting it up and across that. And as it goes in, the bolt's going to come forward, and the lever will slowly free up enough space for that back sort of dragon style wing to sort of slide in that gap there. So it's all about getting it all in place, and then as it goes in properly, the lever will go forward. You should get enough tolerance to get that in. And then your stroke is now that. That's all you need to do. That's it. So it's now much quicker to get that in. So another thing worth noting is you may have noticed that my lever seems a tiny bit softer, or it might seem like slightly lighter than yours, and that's because when I was taking it apart, there's a spring that sits. So on the lever itself, there's these indents. Inside here, there's a spring that sits with a ball bearing. Mine actually launched upwards and hit me in the face, and it's behind my desk somewhere, and I've got no idea where it is. So I've replaced it with the same spring, or it's a similar size spring, which I'll give you the specs of now. So it's a 5mm ball bearing, and the spring is a 0.5 by 5mm by 14mm. And that spring just hedges ball bearing. But I've noticed that the one that G&G put in there is kind of like a thicker steel one, and that one is really tough. And that means that when you're sort of in this position, it takes more force to get out of it, and then when you get to the full position, it's a lot stronger. So you do get a more firm click, but if you're short stroking your lever action, you probably don't care about the firmness as much as you just want the speed. So you can cycle this pretty quickly, at least much quicker than you were before. And yeah, that's pretty much how all these short stroke kits are. They're kind of all the same. They kind of all work the same. But yeah, the really simple install. The reason I include 2 of the short stroke kits is, as I was showing you there on that side, if you brute force it, which I know airsofters are, a lot of us are just cavemen and just brute force stuff in, you can push it in with enough force, it will just shear off that piece of the print. It will not do that during use, but in installation, there is a chance you do that. So I installed 2, just in case you break it. It's also worth mentioning that the 2 pieces I installed have been racked pretty much for about an hour straight. Literally me just sat here doing that. And they did have some signs of wear, but not enough that I'd warrant to say, you know, this is a consumable part or anything. These are printed in black ABS, 100% infill. They should be absolutely fine. Even if they're not, if you find maybe it has an issue or somehow something's gone wrong, you've got a second piece just in case. I really don't think you'll need it, but it's more for installation help than for anything else. That's probably the essential thing that's going to be done to these lever actions. The only other thing I've done, which I'll mention here, is I might include these little blanking plates, and basically what it is that on the normal kits, you have the extended mag release here. People found that when they were using it, probably not so much with a short stroke now, you're pushing it forward and then you can accidentally catch that mag release here. So literally that's just a blank. It's literally taking those 4 Allen keys off. There's 2 pins that sit alongside it. Put it in, pins through, screw back on, done. It does mean you have to use this. You have to use this mag release, which it can be a little bit awkward. I use these little P mags, but it does come out. It's just a bit more fiddly. So yeah, that's essentially an overview of upgrading the LevAR. There's tons of stuff you can do to the hop unit. Obviously, it's a V2 AG style hop unit. I've just replaced the bucking because the stock blue bucking, which I have somewhere, that stock blue one is really not great. The contact patch, I'll probably put a photo up of it. The contact patch of it is really not, it's weird. It's like a W shape. So I've just thrown, I mean, it's a really old bucking now, but those Marble Reds I've just thrown in, and I've shortened the inner barrel as well. As I'm filming this, I'm literally testing it tomorrow, so I can't really give you any thoughts on that. But what I have seen from the HRC channel is the main issues people were having was with the grips. These have now been replaced, so these are a V2 grip, and the hot bucking being inconsistent. So that's pretty much an entire overview of the LevAR 15 so far. I haven't yet skirmished it, but from sort of me having a full day with it, modifying it, designing kits for it, designing little pieces for it, I can't see that there's anything else that needs to be done with it. Just as a note for if anyone was considering getting one of those TWI levers, they have been known to be quite stiff. Apparently the tolerances on them, sort of horizontally, means that they're really stiff getting in and out, and you may even have to file down some edges of it. Obviously, they're like a 40 odd quid, CNC lever, or you can buy, these are about a tenner, and you get the same result, and you don't have to use, I think they're quite ugly, but that weird sort of square start, all of the knuckle duster one, which I think even looks even worse. Instead, you just got this, and then yeah, that's it. Simple.